All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What up, Colts Nation? How the heck's it going? As usual, we got Lawrence Owen over there on the right, and then myself, Richard Evans, a.k.a. Colts Loyalist, here tonight. Doing things a little differently, guys. Law's been feeling, I'd say a little bit under the weather, but I try not to lie to you guys. So Law's been feeling a lot under the weather this week. So now we're giving free ads. No. Just wanted to reach out to you guys, let you know that, we're trying to get this together and put together some good content and stuff. We appreciate all the well wishes and stuff towards Law and stuff, and just really appreciate everybody's understanding and stuff. And just wanted to talk some football, and even Law, whenever he's feeling under the weather and stuff, he's down for a talk, as long as you don't have to ask him to speak.
Yeah, so I can speak, but it's a whisper. I cannot speak any louder than this. I have to be all up on the microphone like so. So hopefully you guys can hear me. And then the longer I talk, the worse it gets. I end up having to cough and all that neat stuff. But I appreciate Highlight Man in here. I appreciate Truett. I appreciate Brandon. What's up? I went and had a COVID test today. I'll find out tomorrow if that's what it is. So appreciate each and every one of you. And today, pretty much, I'm going to leave this to Loyalist. He's going to run this show today. I'll just be here to kind of bring up some of your guys' comments and, some love from Greece. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And Brandon, of course, with the what's good, everybody. And then Truett wanted to know if I was off the pup, which is no. But I'm here anyhow, so that's all that matters. Sorry if you can't hear me. Like I said, my voice is what it is. Well, I'm gonna leave the talking now to my man Loyalist, and let's go Colts. Let's go talk Colts, man.
Awesome. All righty, guys. So today what we're gonna do is oh wow, okay. Sorry. Today what we're gonna do is we're gonna discuss a little bit of just where we're sit for the mid-season report and stuff. What have we seen? What are the likes and the dislikes that we've seen, and just go with that for a little bit, and then we'll go from there and try to get into some of the questions and just see where the conversation leads us. So Law and I was I was talking. He was just shaking his head emphatically for a while. But, we were just discussing some of the things that we didn't like, and we sort of put them in like little categories, but we had one that just sort of didn't fit in, and that was like the pass rush, because we like what we've seen from the pass rush, but there again, Kwity Paye hasn't had a lot of playing time. But you are starting to see some of the progression, some of the advancements in his level of play over the last several weeks. The pressures are picking up, and he doesn't have a sack yet, but Law and I are pretty much convinced that when they start coming, they're going to come in waves. You know what I mean? So hopefully the second half of the season, we'll see him get a few of them sacks and start seeing more from that position. Dio Dangbo, great to see him out there, but he just really hasn't had enough enough reps to get in there and get a good feel where we're at. And honestly, we've seen everything that we expected to see from, Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner there on the inside. You know what I mean? So these guys are really, they've shown that we can push that center, that pocket. We can control that run game in the middle and stuff real well. And now, now Eberflus and the defensive line's getting a little more comfortable, I guess you'd say, where they're interchanging pieces and moving things around, trying to make it a little harder to double team DeForest all the time. So similar to what LA does with Aaron Donald. So, really the pass rush, we just sort of were neutral at, I think. Like I said, it's too early to tell. A lot of young talent. Kamoka Toure, if there again, I think we've seen that when he's healthy, he flashes real nicely, So we have some building blocks, but yet we still aren't there. You know what I mean? As far as what we were hoping. See, Quiddy had to face. Quiddy has had a few sacks, but dumb penalties by the offense took the. Yeah, there you go, and that's right. That's from Brandon Wood. And sorry, Brandon, I'm new to getting the messages, so we'll just work the best we can. But you're right. I mean, he's been there, and if he's not, gotten that sack called back or whatever, he's still been there putting the pressure, and he's been really strong in the run game. So, a lot of high hopes for these young guys, but they're rookies. I mean, give them time. Let's let them blossom. We know that this defensive line isn't going to, explode overnight, but we are starting to see the progression and stuff. And then some of the other things that were more on the negative side that, Law and I discussed and stuff was that pass defense. That for me, and I think for Law as well, is that pass defense has got to be fixed. I mean, I understand you're up by 42-10 or whatever, but you still need to sit there and present something a little bit more resistance to it, something to support your offense a little bit. You know what I mean? But like I said, there has been a lot of moving parts, you might say. Now, I'm not blaming it all on injuries, and I understand that, it's next man up mentality and stuff. But to be honest, our secondary depth has really been tested once again this year, and, we sat there and we started at the beginning of the season. We're like, oh, yeah, we love, what we see from Kari Willis and Julian Blackman. Well, now, we've been missing those two pieces, for the last couple of weeks. One of them that Blackman, we're not even going to get to see him for the rest of the year, which stinks. But there again, we have seen a lot of bright points, like you said, with Blackman. Xavier Rhodes has really, or I'm sorry, not Xavier Rhodes, Rock Ya-Sin has really stepped up. And I wouldn't say that he's put to bed all of our worries, but he's definitely lessened the fear of not having that good corner piece to build off of.
Yeah, I'm going to have to push in. I think we have the right players because 3/4 of the game, our players are doing great. Generally speaking, in the game, in the pass defense, we're doing well. We give up somewhere between 10 and 17 points through the first 3/4, which is above or right at average of the NFL. We're better than. It's the fourth quarter when Matt Eberflus goes into that whole prevent thing, when we jump out to that big lead, and it makes our secondary look a lot worse than what it really is. It's not the players giving up those plays, as a lot of people want to sit here and complain about. It's not our secondary. It legitimately is the fact that our defensive coordinator is playing to not lose rather than to, step on the throat and win this game, right? And you see the difference between, you go and look at what I don't know if you watched the game Thursday night football, Miami Ravens, right? Miami secondary played absolutely fantastic that whole game, all the way through, even all the way into the fourth quarter. They played very, very well. Okay. And if you look, it was because it was the same play calls. They were still sending pressure and blitzes. They were still getting man up on guys. And Eberflus is afraid to do that. He wants to protect a lead rather than be aggressive and try to make it bigger. And that's something I have an issue with, is that stupid soft zone.
Yeah. And the upside to, seeing some of these injuries and stuff as we have, though, got to see some good little pieces. Like, at first we were a little worried that we weren't seeing Rodgers out there performing to the level that we thought that he had. But I would like to sit there and push back a little bit and say, when you start looking at the performance that he's put over the year and stuff, that, he's an interesting piece in that secondary. And you sit there, and the way I look at it, you put him alongside with Rock Ya-Sin and what we've seen and stuff. And then, pick up a couple pieces next year and add to that depth and give us, somebody to challenge these guys and stuff. We've got some good building blocks, even in the secondary. And quite honestly, our starting safeties, I love them. I love our starting safeties. We got Blackman, who's got that ball hawk personality, but he's also got that touch of Darius Leonard in him, that little bit of maniac that, you know what I mean, where he's always making these excellent plays, tackles for loss, getting the ball loose, you know, for one of his teammates to come and get the turnovers and stuff. So there is a lot of pieces, even in that secondary, you know, to Law's point, you know, if we could tweak that scheme a little bit, get a little more confidence in the man-to-man coverage that we get from these guys, this defense has a chance to make a nice push over the second half of the season. And I think we're starting to see it with just, honestly, I just think it took time for Eberflus to really fully get that rhythm and get that feel for what this defense is. So, you know, I mean, a lot of people have been wanting to set that seat on fire that Eberflus is on, but let's just give him a chance. Let's see what he does this year. And I mean, quite honestly, you know, like Law said, this defense is remarkable for, you know, 2.5, 3.5 quarters. You know, it's that closing out part that we really do need to get. And is that the coach? Is that the players? You know, or is it a hybrid of each? Is it fatigue? You know, so let's see. You know, let's see what we get whenever we start playing the Tampa Bays and the Buffaloes and stuff coming up. You know, that's pretty much, I think, most of the negative side. And it, like I said, is both of them. Yes, these are the areas that we still need most improvement. But when you remember what we went into the preseason, we were like, are we even going to have any pass rush? You know what I mean? So I would say that Chris Ballard has really brought in some good pieces for that pass rush. And like I said, I do believe that, you know, we're going to get, Ballard has not done well picking, see, and I disagree with that from Driggs 801. I do agree that there has been some misses, but whenever you start weighing in, you know, okay, even though he didn't draft him, he did make the acquisition of DeForest Buckner. You look at Tyquan Lewis. I feel like he's going to be an important piece. I think that he's possibly going to get re-up next year. Then you sit there and you look at the two rookies that we got this year. Too early to tell, okay? Okereke. It wasn't that he was a miss on talent or anything. It's just the guy can't stay healthy. You know, yes, I understand you've got the Bonogus and stuff, and you do have some of the Bashams and stuff. But when you sit there and you weigh out how he's drafted consistently and over the long picture, and like I said, I really do believe that we've seen enough flashes from Quiddy, not so much Dio because of limited opportunities. I do believe that you're going to find that over the next year or two that this D-line is going to start really being everything that we've expected. The hard part with that is, you know, I know we've been salivating and chomping at the bit now for this for a few years. But like I said, I do love the DeForest and the Grover Stewart combination there in the middle. I mean, you know, you sit there and you look at how diversified these guys are. I mean, there's some special guys there. So let's not give up on that D-line yet. Now to a little bit more of the upside and stuff, you know, what was the biggest question of the offseason? I mean, arguably, I would have to say, you know, it was either pass rush or quarterback. You know, yeah, you could sprinkle in left tackle, but I mean, those were the three big topics. But for me, it was like, what is Carson Wentz going to give this team? You know what I mean? And there was all this, oh no, you know, the end of the world's coming. Carson's, you know, sitting there. That's right, Carson freaking Wentz. You know, we were like, oh, is this guy going to be the turnover machine, or is he going to come in and see that 2017, 18, 19 quarterback play? Well, I can say that for me personally, he's answered that question 100%. And I'm pretty sure Law would agree with me. I mean, if you sat there and told me that you were going to have a quarterback throw for 2,200 plus yards, you know, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, I think total 5 turnovers altogether, counting the interceptions and fumbles. I'll take that. Whenever you sit there and you merge that quarterback play with this running game and this offensive line that's now finally starting to get healthy, now starting to finally gel, we're starting to see a little bit more of that playbook opening up. You're starting to see, I don't know about you guys, but I like when I watch football, I watch facial expressions, I watch body language, you know what I mean? And I'm just seeing this offense just really starting to get that confidence, get that swag. And I mean, as they should. I mean, heck, it's the last 4 or 5 games, 30 plus points a game. I mean, Deion Lamb sits there and says, Wentz has shut me up. Never really hated it. Just was worried about, you know, what was he going to bring? And that's where I stood at. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't for me. I'll be honest. I was a Matt Stafford guy. I was like, oh, I want Matt Stafford. Then I went and seen what LA gave up for him. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. You know what I mean? And then I honestly, I like I said, then I started looking at the Jimmy Garoppolo's and the Cam Newtons and the Sam Darnolds and stuff, and I just didn't really. And then whenever the Carson Wentz thing, it was like, okay, you know, and you start digging into it and you think about the history. I really agree with, Dion and a lot of us that he's answered these questions. You know what I mean? Has everything been perfect? No. But Anthony Hurt, like I said, we're all sort of feeling the same way. And I honestly, this could just be being the fanatic side of the show or whatever, but anybody that sits there and wants to throw, sling their arrows at Carson Wentz or whatever and say that he hasn't given this team everything that they've needed, I just feel like those were opinions that were fairly made up already, short of winning a Super Bowl. And that may not even be enough for some of these folks. Let's see here. What we got? Juju. I hope I'm saying your names right, by the way. I was never worried about Wentz physically, his physical ability, only his mental, because Philly really really tried to tear him completely down. Well, I'm the believer that I understand that, people are saying that and that's the messages that we're getting, but there again, everything, now you're starting to hear a lot of support. I mean, yes, you had a lot of people throwing that hatred, throwing the Carson Wentz curse out there or whatever, but a lot of that was, like I said, certain small select few, because quite honestly, I sat there and sent a tweet out last week or whatever, and I expected to get roasted. And it was interesting because it was like, you know what, this is, a guy sat there and responded that was the only, that was everything you saw up until 2019. 2020 was the outlier, you know what I mean? And you're starting to hear a lot more of that now that they're seeing this. I think it's just that minority that gets really loud, you know what I mean? Especially if they have the press behind them and stuff. Yeah. Now Anthony Hurd asked about Rhodes and his condition and stuff. He will be out. Rhodes has been confirmed out for this game. He's the only person that we've got out for this game coming up against Jacksonville. That's right. We got T.Y. Hilton. He's out of protocol. Expected to see him. We got DeForest Buckner now. This is a concern. He's got some back problems and stuff that he's experienced through the week and stuff. So he's questionable, but the coach is saying that he's feeling pretty optimal, or optimistic, I should say, about him playing. Pardon me. Braden Smith, he's been out with that elbow / tricep, whatever it is, that's going on there. Looks like the coach has said that he's been real light or limited or out for practice, but he does feel like that we're going to get to see him play this week. So as far as the health goes, honestly, you sit there and you look at both teams and the health, which I understand this doesn't have the guys that are on IR and stuff, but of the soldiers and stuff that are for both teams that are eligible, the injury report's looking pretty clean for both teams.
Well, it should. I mean, they've had a mini bye week after the stomping that we gave the Jets, right? I mean, we've had time to get healthy, and they really have for the most part. Yeah, Buckner hasn't been practicing to do his back issue, but I'm with you. I'm hearing the when Frank Reich says optimistic, there's levels of optimism, right?
Yeah.
Because he's optimistic about everything. He's optimistic that there's going to be a 26-hour day tomorrow. But how high is that optimism on that? He said he was pretty high on his optimism level that Buckner will play, which is good. With Rhodes being out, I expect Isaiah Rodgers to take that spot. With TJ Carey's back. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's freaking huge, guys, because Carey was one of our better corners last year, right? Right behind Rhodes, as a matter of fact. He was the second best corner we had last year. He's been out on IR this whole time. I'm glad that we're getting him back. Will he play safety? That's the question that I want to know. Will he be out there, playing a safety position? If Rock and Rodgers and Moore are all three out there, I would like to see that happen because TJ's got he's got the experience
Yes.
to be able to play every position in that defensive backfield.
Yeah, and diverse, like you said, he's got that flexibility. I mean, and the coach said today, he's like, yes, we could use TJ a little bit in the safety position, but he's primarily a cornerback. But to your point, Law, I mean, he's that veteran voice. He's that, you know what? When all else fails, let's look to these guys who've been in the offense. Now, you look at Alejandro. I mean, he's a veteran, but yet he's also new to the system. I mean, understandably, he's gotten 3, 4, 5 weeks in under his belt. But it's just nice to have that veteran calming voice in there to help, if anything, maybe eliminate some of the confusion with the communication and stuff. Because there again, our secondary, I feel like, is playing better. I mean, not good by any means during the late parts of the game, but they're definitely starting to get where they're closing out better. And like Law said, like we've said before, the first 3 quarters, are generally looking really. It's either quarter 1 stinks, and then quarter 2 through 4 are going to be great, or quarter 1 through 3 is great, and quarter 4 is a hose fest. But so, like I said, I do like the fact that just if anything, they're talking about putting him possibly on a pitch count or something. Sprinkle him in, get him his reps in and stuff, get him acclimated, but put him in better positions to succeed.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed this, but whenever we have a big lead, that's when our fourth quarter defense seems to go to shit, right? Whenever it's a tight game, our defense plays their butts off the whole game. I want to take a moment here and thank everybody for being in here. Please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live. Don't forget, you can still hit that tip down there. I don't have it up right now, but I can bring it up if you use the tip bar down here for Loyalist's laptop that we've been collecting for, to get so that he'll be able to do this a little bit easier on his end. I think we're up to about 50% of that so far. So thank you so much. I also want to go ahead and drop a couple ads in here since, we're at the 22-minute mark. Appreciate each and every one of you. Please, guys, I'm telling you, the Backroom Collection provides a ton of really good canvas stuff. I just posted on Twitter the new Carson Wentz one with the horses in the background. That's Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I was
Jonathan Taylor. They've got Carson Wentz ones out too. All right. Mm-hmm. I think there's one where he's, very similar to this situation, but instead of DeForest Buckner, it's Carson Wentz in that. There's also this month, there's some signed pieces as well. So make sure you go check that out. Also, before I get anywhere real quick, I need to pop this up because as normal, our boy is dropping stuff for us. Booyah. Fuzzy Whistler just dropped another $25 into the tip jar. Thank you so much. Appreciate that very much, Fuzzy. That's going to help us out a ton. Like I said, if you use the tip jar, I will bring this up and show Fuzzy has dropped a ton of money over this period of time, along with Nemkowski and Martin Hazel. Mark Patton is a new Patreon. P. Draggy dropped $10 on the game that we watched the other night. The last time I did a live stream, basically. But here we go with the Backroom Collection. A lot of cool stuff. Go check it out.
This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts signed pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10.
And don't forget, you can find us on Newsbreak with Newsbreak original pieces that Loyalist and I pop on there often. I ain't been able to this week because of my illness, but we're going to be start putting new stuff on there. You can only find that on Newsbreak, and you can support us financially by downloading and following Colts Law on Newsbreak. It puts money directly into our pocket, and it's free for you.
This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out.
Trevor better not. Anthony Hurt says Trevor better not have a career game against us. Well, to be honest, this defense is, like Law said, we managed to make these guys look like pretty darn good quarterbacks. And I'm fine with that. You know what? This defense, I'm not expecting it to flip a switch and automatically be the lockdown secondary. But you know what? Let's keep him out of the end zone. He can throw for 650 yards. I don't okay. I do care, but, let him throw it. Just don't let him in the end zone. That's a big thing for me, We got King Cracker in there. He says, hello, fan. Feeling any better, Lawrence? Well, King Cracker, the fact that there he is.
No, not particularly. It's taking me a long time. That's why Loyalist is hosting these, and I'm just popping in occasionally, but I appreciate the shout out. Dion also popping in here saying thank you, Law and Loyalist, for the great videos and lives. Always have a good time and learn a lot with y'all. We appreciate you. We do this for you. Right now, back to you, Loyalist.
Alrighty. So I wanted to get a little bit more into some of the stuff that, mid-season grades and stuff. And we've covered the pass rush, we've covered the quarterback. So the third, elephant in the room, I guess you want to call it, is, we were worried about what was our left tackle situation. And then we sat there and we watched at training camp, and we seen them bring in Tevy, and we saw them bring in Davenport, and we had Elder Camp. I mean, we threw a lot of pieces at this thing during the offseason. But the crazy thing is you sit there and Tevy goes on IR. Davenport did what we thought we'd get from Davenport. But then you start looking at, we got Fisher, who came in. He started looking rough. Go figure, hadn't played football in the better part of a year. Still trying to come back from that Achilles and stuff. Hadn't had the reps and stuff with Quentin and the rest of the guy. But I would say over the last 2 to 3 weeks that his game is understandably started to improve. He's starting to get that chemistry. He's starting to get some of that. What do you want to call that energy or that technique that working side by side with Q and Jack Doyle or Mo Alley Cox, whoever's on his outside. I can honestly say that I like what Fisher's brought to the table this year. Now the question is, can we afford him and stuff? Is he going to want more than we have to offer next year? That's going to be a big question. But for this year, like Juju says, Fisher's gotten better and better each and every week. And I agree. King Cracker comes up with left tackle started out sloppy, but it's starting to smooth itself out. And, that's right, because the thing is, we all, as fans, we're like, no, we want it and we want it now. It's sort of like my kids are, I feel like sometimes we have that mentality of expecting these athletes who are human beings, but yet we don't always look at them in that light, so that they've really started to work their things together, work their communication out. I mean, good gravy. Have you guys seen what this offensive line, along with the rest of the guys, have, some of the lanes that Naheem Hines and Jonathan Taylor's had to run through this year? I mean, I'm very impressed with what we are starting to see. And, King Cracker says JT is going to have 100 yards total before he. King Cracker says hopefully JT will have another 250-yard game like last time. Well, I would love that, Brandon. and he's responding to King Cracker. But in the same token, let's remember that this is not the same run defense that we played last year. We have to remember that the Jags went out and they brought in a lot of new pieces and switched out a lot of things. And this run defense has looked pretty tough over the last few weeks. Now, granted, it's been against Buffalo, who is an awesome team, but their run game isn't their strength. You know what I mean? And I do agree that our offensive line in this run game, I still think is going to be successful and stuff. You know what I mean? But the big thing for this week is I don't think that if you're going in with that 250-yard mentality, I mean, that'd be great. I'm not, yes, but I think that this is another game where coach is going to sit there and use Carson, and he's going to exploit the secondary a little bit more. Truett Trussler sits there and goes back, and that's why I was saying earlier, Truett, if the cap goes up, then sign Fisher. Well, there again, you have to factor in. We've got a lot of guys. We sat there, we talked about Reed that possibly needs re-signed, Fisher that needs re-signed. I feel like Matt Pryor has shown that he might be that good swing tackle in depth, okay, that would need re-signed. Okay, not to mention Big Q needing that big old payday that he's been working his whole life for, So that is a question that, I believe that, Ballard and the powers that be will go out there and try to manipulate under their standards and stuff. But like I said, for me, this offensive line and this depth that we have with Penter, Reed, Pryor, I am very, very pleased. And if there's any way that we can keep these guys as a whole, along with Glowinski, I mean, that would be amazing.
We got to remember next year we have like $50 million in cap space. Mm-hmm. All right. We only have 27 guys signed through next year. 27. We got to put up a 90-man roster and sign enough people for at least a 53-man to roll through, plus extras. We got to sign our draft picks and all that other neat stuff, practice squad guys, things like that. So money's going to be a lot more tight next year than what we're used to seeing for the Colts. But 2023, that's a different story.
Yeah, maybe we can get Fisher to sit there and give us a nice little bargain rate. But like I said, that's all conversations to worry about a little bit later down the line. Right now, what was the other stuff that we have? We've already talked about it, but, the depth, that was another concern. What was our O-line depth? Like I just said earlier, I am very pleased with the depth that we've been showing. There was a lot of talk about during the last couple off seasons. Oh, we need a wide receiver. We need a wide receiver. These guys aren't stepping up. Now what? What was that? What's his name? What do you think of that? From the Vikings. That's sort of what I think. Ballard and Reich are sort of sitting back, just rocking in their chair, going, "What do you think about that?" When MPJ is out there just playing lights out like a madman and playing not just good football when the ball's in his hand. He's playing good football and showing that extraordinary leadership through his actions and stuff. It's contagious. And you sit there and you watch JT feeds off of it. The defense feeds off of it. This team is real. Like I said, I don't just mean offensively. The offense is starting to gel up. And the defense, honestly, I feel like the team is starting to come together and the team is starting to show that growth and stuff. And you know what? I know it's one game at a time, but these next 4 weeks are going to be huge for us. Let's see what these guys have to offer, and let's get into playoffs. And then who knows what happens? Shoot, we got 2 more extra playoff spots. Yes, I'm telling you right now, when we get into playoffs, people are going to see that, we play the Colts, and they're not going to be happy about it. Another area of contention, outside of the wide receivers, we sat there and we said we wanted to see how much of a losing Andrew Walker was going to hurt us, and Law and I remember we were discussing, do we think that the run defense is going to regress and stuff? And I would say at first it did. Okay. I would say at first our run defense wasn't where it needed to be. There again, Okereke's in a new spot. Darius Leonard dealing with the ankle. There was a lot of moving parts to why that run defense wasn't stepping up. But the nice thing is that run defense has really played well over the last 5 weeks. You know, I mean, pretty much since, you know, the first Tennessee Titans game. I felt like from that week on, and Bobby Okereke, I'm telling you what, my guy, he has played lights out in the run defense over the last few weeks, and I've really been impressed with what you've seen from him. And he's never going to be that big, you know, thumper, come in and blow the guy up like we used to like from AWA. But he's more of that. How did Darius describe it? He was more of that. Get to the guy, wrap him up like a snake, and just drag him to the ground type of guy. You know what? If you're doing that at the line of scrimmage, or if you're doing that a couple yards in their backfield, keep it up, my guy. So, like I said, our run defense is starting to produce at a much higher, more consistent. You know, so I would say that he is starting to put, and I still need to see more. In all honesty, I want to see a little bit more. See what we do against some of the better offensive teams and stuff, and does that run defense fall off a little bit? But let's don't forget, you know, that we have played Derrick Henry twice. Okay, and we've been up against some. Pardon me, sorry guys. We've been up against some really solid run offenses and stuff. So this team, I like where we're going, guys. And like I said, I really do believe that by the time Hard Knocks is done putting everything in the can and putting it out, I think that we're going to find that we're going to watch how a team starts off slow, as dealing with all the obstacles and stuff that they've had to overcome. But I do believe that they're going to present a playoff caliber team and make the playoffs, because quite honestly, outside of Tennessee, who's playing, in my mind, they're playing way above what I expected this year. I mean, I never expected them to sit there and take the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Rams, and beat all three of them. So outside of that team, the rest of the league is slowly just waiting for us. Just wait and say, "Come on, fellas!" We got a message here from Terrence. I can't.
Yeah.
Rhodes, Ty Doyle won't be back. Oh, yeah, that should be up.
Well, I want to bring up a little point on this from Terrence Woodard. Rhodes and Ty most likely not. I will agree with that. But Doyle, I think, probably will sign another year or two onto the Colts, mainly because of his utility. He's one of the best all-around tight ends in the NFL. Is he a Kittle? No. Is he a Kelsey? No. But he is one of the best run blocking tight ends in football and pass blocking tight ends in football. And he is that guy that he's still able to get in open spots for the quarterback to throw him the football when he gets in dangerous situations, being that safety blanket. So Doyle's still proving, to me at least, he's not utilized as much because Carson don't go, that direction nearly as much as what he's been going to, like Pittman. But I still think that he's very, very utilized, and the Colts will probably end up signing him. Just wanted to bring that point up.
Hang on just a second before you leave. But, I just like to put to that, and also from Doyle, do you agree? I mean, I could see him doing a little bit more team-friendly type of contract and stuff, just to be able to have the opportunity to maybe retire as a Colt. I mean, because
it's possible.
And you sat there and you mentioned how Jack Doyle's. Do you remember DeQuell Jackson? We were sitting there. He asked DeQuell, and DeQuell sat there and said, "I mean, he, no questions. He's like, Jack Doyle is my favorite Colt. I mean, he's just the. I mean, that to me. I mean, you see it whenever you see guys that are out there on the field, and they're not gonna throw their brother under the bus, but behind closed doors is a little different or whatever. When DeQuell Jackson, after being retired, he still sits there and says that Jack Doyle is one of your favorite, and he points out his exceptional route running and the way he's got the football intelligence IQ to get into those zones and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Terrence says that he believes that Mo Cox is the better blocker in the tight end group, and I think they're both equal in blocking. Here's the thing. The Colts use a lot of 2 and 3 tight end formations. Okay. And you need all-around tight ends for that situation. And that's why I think that Doyle and Mo both on 1-year contracts, they're not on the they'll have to be re-signed. I think that Doyle will probably, like you said, probably take a team-friendly deal just to stay around, because I don't think he's going to get paid huge money by another team, but he's very effective where he's at, and I think he knows that.
Yeah, and
that's
for
just my
me,
thought.
yeah, and for me, I'll tell you right now, guys, I don't know that I fully agree with the fact that Mo Alley Cox is a better blocker. Now, I will say Mo Alley Cox is an equal blocker for me with Jack Doyle when he's in line and stuff. Well, when you start sitting there and you start pulling these guys and you have them blocking on the run and stuff, I feel like that's where Jack Doyle separates himself. I mean, last week in that Jets game, I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch it again or whatever, but most of the large runs that JT went was either off of a trap block where Doyle comes by and blows somebody up, or where, I mean, you could just really follow Doyle and know where JT was going. You know, I mean, it wasn't, or even Naheem. I mean, you know, these guys were hitting these holes and getting ridiculous yards before ever getting contact. Anthony Hurt says, when we going to see Loyalists at the press conferences? Well, appreciate it. Thank you, Truett. Yeah, like I said, I'm I don't know how that's going to pan out. You know, Law, he always is kind enough. Ask me, you know, you got any questions and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I can sit there and give them. Okay. All right. So I appreciate all the love and everything you guys are showing me. I'm not sure how to deal with it, so just bear with me here, guys. But like I said, it's been a blast because, you know, Law, even if I'm not, you know, asking the questions, he's always been really good about, hey, you got any things you want to ask, you know, and then I spit out my 65 questions and he whittles it down and stuff. And then, you know, he takes one from me and one from him, and it's all good. Only upside to me going to them press conferences is if it means that we get more questions. But there again, I don't have a computer to do all that Zoom stuff and all that. No, Matt Bryan says, I'm sure Colts will treat Doyle well. He's been a great Colts player. Oh yeah, and I agree with you, but there again, they're not going to hurt themselves. You know, they're not going to overpay him or anything. But to sit there and say that Doyle, whenever his career's done, he's not going to have all the. I mean, look at Dallas Clark. I love Dallas Clark, but you don't see all the accolades and all the, you know, all the reunions and all. You know, you don't ever hear him talking about Dallas Clark. And for me, that's where Jack Doyle is. He's that silent stud. He's that guy that's just in there, putting in the grind day in and day out, making this team, making multiple players, if not the entire team, better. Like I said, I'm right there with DeQuell as far as, you know, Jack Doyle being one of my favorites. You know, he just sort of has that mentality that just, you know. Anyhow, I'm turning this into the Jack Doyle show. Sorry, guys. But for me, you know, that was a lot of the questions that I could come up with that, you know, that we were talking about and had all these hours and hours of conversations during the preseason. And, you know, when you sit there and you think about it, because like I said, for me, I'm not marking it as a positive or a negative with the defensive rush. I just felt like this year we were going to have to wait to find out. But when you sit there and you say, okay, even the negatives were slightly negative, you know what I mean? Aside from the pass deep, which there again, that's scheme, that's comfort. These are things that are going to work out. Let's see. We got one from, what's that say? Smooth Fit says, can we give Doolin some props too? He's been the wide receiver a lot this year. That's right. And is playing straight special teams nonstop. Can't believe I wanted to cut this guy. I know, right? And then you mean to tell me that, you know, this guy that we sat there and were complaining about, you know, and the cool thing is if you look back at what the coach told us, what the general manager told us, we never really should have doubted it, because they're not going to put they're not going to sit there and take special teams away from us just because we feel like this guy, this fifth or sixth receiver might be, you know, I mean, heck, how many times have we had, gosh darn it, Michael Strong, you know, a healthy scratch or not even, you know. Smooth Fit also says, can we give Doolin? Okay, already. So yeah, like I said, this Ashton Doolin has been playing good. Him and Zach Pascal are playing that good, solid as far as the catching the ball. But when you start adding in the way that these two guys block along with MPJ, and then you add in the excellent special teams play, yeah, it is sort of invigorating to sit there and have a point of view and then find it validated whenever these guys are out there putting it out there week in and week out. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but Law and I both were pretty adamant about no, you're not going to put Michael Strawn and you're not going to put Des Patman until we started seeing more of the injuries. And then we're like, yeah, bring him in. But Doolin was always the guy that we felt like should be fairly high up there.
I want to shout out Pascal as well. Pascal's been doing very good this season. He hasn't been needed to lean on nearly as much with Pittman out there, Moss and just about everybody, but he's still doing his job, and that's nice to see. Fuzzy Whistler drops in here and says, you'll soon have that well-deserved computer.
I appreciate it. I told my wife, I said, I'm going to have to call it the fuzzy, give the computer some sort of fuzzy name or something.
Right.
So there you go, guys. Help me come up with a name for my laptop.
All right. Guys, we're going to have to end up killing this here pretty soon. I'm feeling worse and worse as we're going along here. So I'll probably end up having to kill it. Even though I'm not on here, the more I talk, the more I'm up doing stuff, the worse I feel. Hopefully we'll be able to do something on Sunday. Maybe Loyalist and I can record something quick tomorrow and upload it. That'd be nice. Just depends upon how I feel. But I appreciate each and every one of you. Go ahead and do your whatever you need to do. I'm done.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to tell you guys thanks a lot. And Law, you disappeared before I got to say it, but I just wanted to let you know, man, we understand completely. We all want you to get healthier. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to all this all the time. We need all your insight and all your knowledge so that you can help harness and bring me under control and stuff. So, guys, he was here, but he's not. But as usual, he's Lawrence Owen. I'm Richard Evans, also a.k.a. Colts Loyalist. And as a wise man once said, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.